There's something powerful that happens when God makes you wait. At first it feels frustrating. You're doing everything right, or at least trying. You're staying out of drama, focusing on your craft, praying, staying silent when you could respond, working while others are partying. And still, nothing seems to be moving, doors remain closed, opportunities are quiet, it almost feels like the silence is mocking you, but I'm here to tell you that silence is not rejection, it's not punishment, it's preparation. See, when God has something big planned for your life, He doesn't deliver it in a rush, because anything delivered before its time becomes a burden, not a blessing. God's delays are never without reason. They're strategic. You're not just sitting in place. He's developing you. Your strength, your patience, your emotional control, your discipline, your focus. He's not just preparing the blessing for you. He's preparing you for the blessing. And the question is, can you handle it? Think about it. If you're asking for something big, but you're not ready to carry the responsibility that comes with it, would you really want it right now? Would it even make sense for God to give it to you? A skyscraper takes longer to build than a shack. The foundation is deeper, the planning is more precise, and in the early stages it looks like nothing is happening, just a lot of digging, but what's being built underground will one day support something that touches the sky. When your breakthrough is divine, it's never rushed. God moves with intention. Every delay has layers of purpose. Maybe He's removing people who can't go where you're going. Maybe He's working on the hearts of others around you. Maybe He's showing you where your faith ends and where trust has to begin. Because when things take longer than expected, that's when your true mindset is revealed. Can you still keep going when the applause fades? Can you still stay disciplined when no one's watching? Can you remain faithful when nothing looks like it's working? This is the exact moment where most people quit. They assume a delay means denial, and they walk away from something that was still coming. But those who understand the rhythm of God know that delay means construction, delay means development, delay means refinement. He's making sure the version of you that walks into the next season won't fold under pressure. And let's talk real for a second. You say you want success, but can you stay focused when no one believes in you yet? You say you want a platform, but can you handle the criticism that comes with it? You say you want abundance, but can you stay generous in scarcity? These are the tests that come during delay, and how you respond to them determines what you're really ready for. There's something sacred about moving in silence during this season. When you stay silent and focus on your work, you don't waste energy trying to prove yourself. You don't get caught up explaining your vision to people who aren't meant to see it yet. You just build, you get better. You get sharper, you get stronger, and while everyone else is distracted by noise, you become undeniable through discipline. That's what the delay is training you to do, to rise without announcement, to grow without applause. Every minute you spend thinking, why hasn't it happened yet, is a minute taken away from building what God told you to build. Don't ask why it's not here. Ask what more you can do in the meantime. Ask what you still need to learn, what you still need to release, what still needs healing. When you shift from waiting on a blessing to preparing for one, everything changes. And here's something most people don't talk about. Sometimes God delays your break through because if it came right now, it would feed your ego instead of grow your soul. You'd think it was you, your grind, your talent, your connections, but the delay humbles you. It breaks the illusion that you control everything. It reminds you favor isn't earned, it's entrusted, and only a humble heart can carry a heavy crown without being crushed under it. So, if you're in a season right now where nothing seems to be happening, understand, something is happening. It just might not be visible yet. Just like a seed beneath the soil, your growth is happening in the dark. Quietly, slowly, but deeply, and when it finally breaks the surface, people will call it sudden, but you'll know it wasn't sudden. It was the result of showing up every day when no one clapped, when no one cared, when nothing looked promising. Let them sleep on you, let them doubt you, let them walk away, don't try to convince anyone, just stay focused, stay in your lane, stay obedient, because when God is preparing something big, He often starts with silence. And when the time is right, He doesn't need a countdown, He just moves, and when He moves, no one can stop it. The delay isn't your defeat, it's your becoming. There's something most people miss when they step into a waiting season. They expect noise. They expect signs, they expect confirmation every few steps, and when none of that shows up, They assume God is no longer there. They begin to panic. Doubt creeps in. Maybe I heard wrong. They think, maybe I missed the timing. Maybe God changed his mind. But the truth is far simpler and much deeper. Just because God is silent doesn't mean he's absent. In fact, when God is about to do something significant, he often works in silence. Not because he's ignoring you, but because he's growing you, because in silence something remarkable happens. You're forced to listen deeper, you're forced to check your own voice, you're forced to develop discernment. You start to ask, what's leading me? Fear or faith, emotion or conviction, pressure or purpose? These are questions you'll never ask when things are loud and obvious. They only rise in silence, and those questions are where your growth really begins. When you can't hear God, he's often trying to see if you'll trust what he already said. That's where most people fall off. They begin strong, full of faith and fire, but the minute the external signs vanish, their confidence starts to shake. They treat God like he needs to keep reminding them every day that he's still working. But growth doesn't come from constant reminders. Growth comes when you walk forward without needing confirmation. When you move based on belief, not visible evidence. That's the difference between people who just talk faith and those who actually live it. Real faith is quiet. It doesn't beg for updates. It doesn't whine when the path gets lonely. It doesn't lose focus because the crowd got thin. Real faith stays locked in even when the sky is cloudy, even when nothing seems to move, even when heaven feels silent, because real faith understands this. God doesn't need to speak every day to still be working. There are moments when you're being watched more than you're being helped, not because you've been abandoned, but because it's time to apply what you've already been given. Think about it like this. A good teacher doesn't talk during the test, not because the teacher left the room, but because the test is proof of what you've learned. And in spiritual terms, your silence season is your test. Can you hold on to what God whispered in your spirit 6 months ago, even though everything around you looks opposite now? Most people won't. They'll start listening to every voice but God's, social media, friends, their own fears. They'll chase trends instead of purpose, distractions instead of destiny, and the worst part, they'll call it movement, but all they're doing is running in circles, because without silence there is no clarity, and without clarity you mistake motion for progress. God's silence is often his strategy. He's not keeping you in the dark to frustrate you. He's keeping things hidden so they can't be stolen, rushed, or ruined. You think he's ignoring you, but he's actually protecting what he's building in you. You don't put a seed on the surface and call it growth. You plant it deep, where it's quiet, where it's hidden, and for a while nothing can be seen, but that doesn't mean nothing is happening. It's the same with your journey. In the silence, God is strengthening your roots, teaching you to stand firm, training you to walk without needing applause. That way, when the breakthrough comes, you won't be moved by attention. You'll know how to handle the weight. Because you already handled the silence, you know, silence reveals more than it hides. It shows you where your trust actually lies. When the noise is gone, what are you really standing on? If you need constant reassurance to keep going, then your foundation isn't faith, it's feeling. And feelings are fragile. One bad day can destroy them. But faith can stand through droughts, through silence, through delays, through disappointment, because it's built on something deeper than what you can see or feel. It's built on the character of God, unchanging, unwavering, and always working, even when you don't hear him. Here's the part most people forget. The bigger the move God is about to make, the quieter it often gets. The enemy can't stop what's coming, but he'll try to distract you so you walk away before it arrives. He'll make you question yourself, doubt the path. He'll convince you nothing's happening, when in reality God is setting the stage. And the stage is being set in silence, so what do you do when heaven goes quiet? You stay the course, you keep your spirit clean, your hands busy, your mind focused, you don't chase noise, you anchor yourself in obedience. You don't beg for signs, you build in faith, you don't lose yourself in impatience, you master your routine. That's where strength is formed, that's where warriors are made, in the quiet, in the silence. In the space where only God can see you, and when the time is right, that silence will break, not with warning, not with noise, but with a move so big it'll make sense why the preparation took so long. Why the silence lasted so long, why God had to keep it hidden, because what He's bringing into your life isn't small, it's not ordinary, it's divine, and divine moves don't need hype, they just need you to trust. If it's quiet right now, it's because the next chapter is being written in power. One of the biggest mistakes people make in a season of waiting is wasting their energy watching the clock, counting the days, the months, the years, wondering when the promise will come, when the door will open, when the blessing will arrive. But while they're staring at the calendar, hoping for signs, they're neglecting the one thing that actually matters in this season, the work, the process, the assignment that doesn't look glamorous, doesn't get attention, but builds something far more valuable than applause ever could. Consistency. You see, God isn't just watching what you're asterisk hoping asterisk for. He's watching what you're asterisk working asterisk on. Everyone wants elevation, but very few want to embrace the responsibility that comes with it. Everybody's asking for promotion, but not everybody's willing to prepare for it. You say you're ready for more, but are you really stewarding what you already have? You're asking for the next level, but are you mastering the level you're on now? That's the question the delay is designed to answer. Because the truth is, it's easy to be passionate when things are exciting, when the dream feels close, when momentum is high and the crowd is clapping. But real power is in staying committed when none of that exists. When no one's checking on you, when your progress isn't going viral, when your routine becomes repetitive and quiet, it's in those unseen hours that your future is decided, not when the lights are on, but when no one's watching. Not when everything's flowing, but when nothing seems to be moving, and that's where your focus matters most. You don't build legacy by constantly looking up at the scoreboard. You build it by showing up every day, doing what needs to be done, and trusting that the results will come when they're supposed to. But if you spend all your time watching for signs, you'll miss your season of development. You'll confuse waiting with inactivity, and there's nothing more dangerous than being gifted but undisciplined, talented but unfocused, called but distracted. There is power in silence. There is strength in staying locked in when everyone else is talking. The ones who rise the highest are usually the ones who mastered the art of moving quietly. They didn't need a crowd to motivate them. They didn't need attention to validate them. They weren't chasing likes. They were building legacy. And the foundation of that legacy, focused work, day in, day out, with or without recognition. And let me be real with you, sometimes the delay asterisk is asterisk your fault, not because you're unworthy, but because your focus is fractured. You keep breaking your rhythm to check who's watching. You keep pausing your purpose to respond to critics. You keep leaking your energy into places that don't grow you, and God can't bless confusion. He won't elevate chaos. He's not going to pour more into hands that are too busy scrolling, comparing, and complaining to hold the blessing. The work is where clarity comes. The work is where confidence is built. Not by talking about it, not by announcing it, but by doing it, quietly, consistently, faithfully. You're not in the waiting room, friend, you're in the weight room. Every rep, every routine, every silent season is strengthening you. And the blessing will land where the preparation is complete. That's why you don't chase outcomes. You build habits, you build systems, you build structure, because when the blessing does show up, it won't have time to wait for you to get ready. It'll demand that you already are. It'll test how you've managed your time, how you've managed your thoughts, how you've managed your resources. The delay isn't just God getting things ready for you. It's God seeing what you'll do asterisk, while asterisk He's getting it ready. And if you want to be trusted with more, you've got to be faithful with less. That's the blueprint. You think you're stuck, but you're actually being evaluated. How well do you handle being overlooked? How well do you handle being underpaid, undervalued, misunderstood? Because how you respond now reveals how you'll carry yourself when the platform is bigger. If you can't stay focused in silence, you'll fall apart under spotlight. So stay silent and focus on your work. Let the noise pass you by. Let the distractions fade. This season is not about visibility. It's about development, and the ones who will rise when the timing is right are not the loudest, but the most disciplined. The ones who weren't moved by applause or attention, but stayed locked in on the assignment. They'll be ready, not because they predicted the breakthrough, but because they prepared for it. And when it shows up, it won't feel like a surprise, it'll feel like alignment. Because you'll know you've already done the work, You've already trained in private, you've already carried the weight when no one else saw it, and when God moves, you won't have to scramble, you'll simply step into what was already waiting for you. Focus on the work now, so when the blessing comes, you don't have to catch up, you'll be ready to lead. There's something you don't see coming when you're praying for something big. You ask for clarity, breakthrough, elevation, and then, all of a sudden, everything starts falling apart. People walk away, connections go cold, plans collapse, and you're left standing there thinking, God, this doesn't look like progress. This looks like loss. But here's what most don't understand. Before God delivers something big, He allows some things to fall away. And He lets it happen slowly, in silence, through delay. Why? Because He's not just preparing you for what's coming. He's protecting what's coming from you not being ready for it. Sometimes the delay is there to filter. Not just what's around you, but what's inside of you. There are people, patterns, and perspectives that can't survive in the next chapter. If they follow you into it, they'll ruin it, and God, in His wisdom, knows that. So He uses time as a tool. He lets things stretch out, not to frustrate you, but to reveal what doesn't belong. Think about it. There are people in your life who only exist because your blessing hasn't shown up yet. They're attached to your current version, not your calling. And if the blessing were to arrive with them still in your circle, it would create conflict. It would breed confusion. Some people don't hate you, they just don't fit where you're headed. And God, knowing that, allows the delay to do the heavy lifting, to let them walk themselves out of your life. No fight, no drama, just distance. That's divine protection dressed as rejection. It's not just people either. It's habits, it's distractions, it's emotional attachments to things that feel familiar but serve no purpose. The delay exposes where you're still too comfortable, where you're still holding on to old versions of yourself. God can't pour new wine into old wineskins, and He can't pour next, level favor into a life still full of outdated thinking. So He delays, He pauses the progress, not because you're failing, but because something still needs to fall off. This is where it gets lonely. This is where silence sets in, because the filters don't just remove the unnecessary. They remove the noise, the fake support, the people who were clapping as long as you weren't going too far. And as the delay stretches out, those voices start to disappear. But don't mourn that, celebrate it, because what remains after the delay is real, pure, aligned. You're not carrying extra weight into the promise. And maybe that's the part you weren't prepared for, that obedience would cost you company, that silence would reveal who only stayed for the sound, that success would shrink your circle, but it's necessary. Because the bigger the blessing, the tighter the circle needs to be, the higher the level, the more intentional your environment has to become, and God will not put something valuable in the middle of chaos. So He waits, not because He's punishing you, but because He's positioning you. He's making sure when it comes, you're not surrounded by people who will mishandle it. He's ensuring you're not relying on voices that were never meant to guide you. That kind of delay is sacred, it's surgical. It removes what your emotions would never let go of on their own, and it hurts, I know it does. You wonder why the people you helped don't show up for you. Why the ones you thought would ride with you forever disappear when things get quiet, but understand this, their absence is part of your alignment. You didn't lose them, God released them, because if they stayed, they'd only hold you back. If they stayed, they'd start claiming credit for what God is about to do. See, when God blesses you, He wants it to be clear it was Him not your network, not your platform, not your strategy, but Him. And that clarity often requires subtraction before elevation, so while you're praying for increase, don't be surprised when decrease shows up first. Don't panic when doors close, don't cling to what's leaving. Let the delay do its work, because what's being filtered out now would only become a liability later. What's being removed now is making space for what's next, and though you may feel isolated, you're not being abandoned, you're being refined. You're being stripped of everything that can't walk into destiny with you, and when the blessing finally comes, you'll know exactly why it took this long. You'll realize that the silence wasn't a punishment, it was preparation. That the delay wasn't denial, it was divine pruning. You weren't being overlooked. You were being set apart. The fake had to fade so the real could rise. And when you finally step into what God has for you, you won't have to question who's really for you. The delay will have already answered that. Asterisk asterisk, sometimes God delays the blessing just long enough to protect it from who you thought you needed. Asterisk asterisk. There's a powerful truth that only becomes clear after you've walked through enough dark seasons to recognize it. Every delay has a purpose. Every pause in progress, every moment where it felt like nothing was moving, every door that didn't open when you expected, it was all part of a greater plan. But when you're in it, when you're sitting in the quiet and nothing seems to be happening, it's hard to believe that. It's hard to see how delay could possibly be a gift, but I'm here to tell you, it is. Because what you see as delay, God sees as development, and the development always comes before the delivery. There's a reason God doesn't show you everything at once. If you knew the full weight of the blessing coming your way, it would intimidate you. It would overwhelm you, because big things require big character, deep roots, and refined wisdom. You don't get that overnight. You don't get that through shortcuts. You get it through process, through pressure. Through pruning, and yes, through delay. You think you're waiting on God, but often God is waiting on you, not because you're unworthy, but because what's coming is so heavy, so sacred, so significant, that if He gave it to you too soon, you'd mishandle it. You'd mistake it for a reward instead of a responsibility. You'd show it off before you knew how to protect it. And so, out of mercy, He delays it, not to frustrate you, but to fortify you. This is where your perspective has to shift. Instead of asking, why hasn't it happened yet, start asking, what is this season trying to teach me? Because delay isn't passive, it's active. It's working on you even when you can't see it. It's removing what would sabotage your future. It's revealing where your trust really stands. It's shaping your endurance, your obedience, and your focus. If you're still driven by feelings, still looking for signs, still comparing timelines, then the delay is still doing its job. It's not punishment, it's preparation, and preparation always comes before promotion. Don't rush what God is still refining. Don't try to accelerate something that needs to take root. You can't microwave maturity. You can't fast forward through formation. The blessing you're asking for doesn't just need your hands. It needs your heart to be right. It needs your mindset to be clean. It needs your spirit to be aligned. Because blessings, when received too soon, can become burdens. But when they arrive at the right time, they become a launch pad for purpose. And here's something most people overlook. While you're waiting, the blessing is being prepared too. There are things being orchestrated behind the scenes, people being moved into position, doors being constructed, not just opened. You think you're sitting still, but heaven is in motion. Angels are arranging things. Resources are being aligned. What feels slow to you is actually strategic in the spiritual realm. Timing is everything to God. He doesn't just want you to receive the blessing. He wants it to flourish in your hands. So if it hasn't come yet, it's because it's not ready or you're not. And both of those are good reasons to trust the delay. Because the last thing you want is to walk into a season you're not equipped for. You prayed for something big. Don't get frustrated when the preparation feels big too. Big blessings don't come with small requirements. They demand a version of you that can carry the weight, steward the responsibility, and handle the visibility without losing the humility. The delay also exposes the truth of your commitment. Are you here for the outcome or the obedience? Are you chasing results or pursuing alignment? That's what delay reveals. Anybody can shout when the promise is fresh. Anybody can be passionate at the start, but what about month 6, year 2? What about when nothing changes and no one notices? Can you still show up then? Can you still believe then? Because that's where greatness is built, not in the mountaintop moments, but in the valleys where you choose to stay faithful even without a sign. Delay doesn't mean God forgot, it means God is focused. Focused on the details, focused on your development, focused on the timing, and when He moves it'll be swift, no explanation, no warning, just doors that swing open because you stayed when others quit. Because you grew while others complained, because you trusted the process even when the process was silent. So don't curse the delay, don't rush it, don't waste it, let it do what it's meant to do, stretch you, strip you, strengthen you. Every moment of it is molding you into someone who can carry the blessing with grace and grit, someone who won't just receive the promise but protect it, nurture it, multiply it. Asterisk asterisk, the delay is not your enemy, it's your preparation for the weight of what you asked for. Asterisk asterisk, there comes a point in the journey where you have to stop asking when and start saying yes, yes to the process. Yes to the silence, yes to the season you're in even if it looks nothing like what you prayed for, because that's what trust really is. It's not believing when it's easy, it's believing when there's no proof, no confirmation, no visible sign that things are changing. It's choosing to keep walking when every part of you wants to stop and question, and that kind of trust is what unlocks what you've been waiting for. You see, God doesn't operate on your timeline, He operates on purpose. He's not concerned with how long it's taking from your point of view. He's concerned with who you're becoming in the process. You keep asking Him to speed things up, but if He gave it to you now, you wouldn't be able to carry it. You'd fumble what you're supposed to lead. You'd spend more time trying to protect the blessing than fulfilling its purpose. So instead of rushing the timing, God teaches you to trust it. But that kind of trust doesn't just appear. It's forged in seasons of silence, built in moments where nothing makes sense. It grows when you learn to stop needing to see everything and start believing that asterisk something asterisk is working, even when you can't feel it. And that's the shift, moving from needing confirmation to choosing conviction, because if you're going to walk into the big thing God has for you, you won't get there through logic alone, you'll get there by faith. Faith isn't passive, it doesn't just wait, it works while it waits, it shows up, it builds, it plants seeds even when the soil looks dry, it keeps preparing for rain in the middle of a drought. That's the kind of trust God is developing in you during the delay. The kind that doesn't need the blessing to believe, because it knows the blessing asterisk has to asterisk come, it's just a matter of time, and in the meantime you don't sit still, you don't wallow, you don't complain. You align your thoughts, you align your actions, you align your energy with the version of yourself who already has the blessing. You become the person the promise is looking for, because when you operate from a place of trust, you stop asking, is it ever going to happen? And start declaring, it's already mine, I'm just walking toward it. This is where many people miss it. They treat trust like a feeling instead of a decision. They wait for peace to show up before they move. But real peace doesn't show up asterisk before asterisk the step it meets you asterisk in asterisk the step. You have to go first. You have to decide that even if it takes longer than expected, even if it looks different than you planned, even if no one else believes it, you will not let go of what God whispered to you. That's how you show heaven that you're serious. That's how you demonstrate readiness, not just in words, but in your posture, your preparation, your patience, because when you truly trust God, you stop performing and start preparing. You don't need to prove anything to anybody. You don't need to announce every step. You don't need to convince people to support you. You just keep moving in faith, knowing that the very act of trusting becomes the bridge between where you are and where you're going. That's what pleases God, not how loud your belief is, but how asterisk consistent asterisk it is. Let me tell you something important. Trust doesn't mean you'll always feel confident. It doesn't mean you won't have questions. It just means you won't let those questions stop you. You'll bring them into prayer, you'll bring them into obedience, you'll keep walking anyway, because the person who trusts God doesn't need constant reassurance. They just need to know asterisk who asterisk said the blessing was coming. And if God said it, it has to happen. There is no delay, no detour, no setback that can cancel what God has assigned to your name, but He will not allow you to cut the process just because you're uncomfortable. He will not allow your impatience to forfeit the blessing. You must grow into it. You must stretch into it. You must trust that He is doing more in the background than you could ever understand in the moment. So if you feel like you're in the waiting room, let that trust anchor you. Let it become the lens through which you see everything, the silence, part of the plan, the slow progress, still aligned, the lack of results. Just hidden preparation. When you live from that posture, you stop being shaken by delays, you stop panicking when things don't go according to plan, because your trust isn't in the plan, it's in the promise. And when the time is right, and asterisk it will asterisk be right, what's been kept from you will suddenly be handed to you, not because you forced it, not because you figured it all out, but because you trusted when there was no reason to, and that trust made you ready for everything that's about to be released. Asterisk asterisk, when you fully trust God's timing, the weight won't weaken you, it will shape you into someone the blessing can't ignore. Asterisk asterisk.